As long as fan engagement is what generates income from the media, you will always be told that there is a referee crisis. Because nobody leaves more comments or watches more shows or buys more newspapers than a fan who is pissed off at the referees. We are supposedly in the midst of a refereeing crisis. Ask any NRL fan at the moment and they'll tell you just how bad they think the situation is. Not a game goes by without people tearing into referees in comment sections and claiming that the losing side was robbed after describing a 50-50 decision as a howler. You've even got creators like Paddy G, who is high profile for an NRL content creator, making videos like, "The refs are ruining the NRL," with "kill the bunker" sprawled across the thumbnail. Are they, mate? Really? Because all the videos that you've uploaded since then would indicate that you still quite like the NRL. Pretty impressive, isn't it, that we managed to get record crowd numbers and TV ratings in a year when the NRL is ruined? And it all came to a head this week because we had week 1 of the finals. 4 games that shape the course of the season. And there is nothing that sports media like talking about more than referee decisions in big games. One post that caught my eye especially was by SportBible Australia. Now, SportBible are a massive social media company. Their primary account has 7.7 million Instagram followers. Even just their Australian branch is quite a big deal, considering they've sponsored the NRLW Eels before. This isn't a meme page, it's a news outlet. That page made a post titled, "Week 1 of the NRL Finals has put referees in the spotlight." It then goes through a call or two from each game, implying and creating the sense that the losing team was dudded. I'll go through a couple. Running downhill. The Storm were beneficiaries of 2 bunker decisions that saw them get a penalty overturned and a questionable dropped ball call from the Sharks. Right, so your big criticism that has put referees in the spotlight was that the bunker correctly overturned a penalty and ruled on a drop ball call that you thought was questionable? That's it? Really? That's enough for you to include it in a post where you say that there were issues in the officiating department? How about this one? Challenge it! The Knights were forced to challenge 3 incorrect decisions and were successful every time. So your big grievance is that the video refs were able to come in and successfully cover for what the referee missed. Your big grievance is that the captain's challenge worked as intended. Sure, I completely accept that it's not great that the Knights had to continue challenging, but that's what the captain's challenge is there to address. Referees would miss calls, that's why we introduced the captain's challenge to remedy that issue, and now when it's fixing the issue, you're still complaining. SportBible felt that that was such a big letdown that they felt the need to call out individual referees for it. I commented on that post saying, "It's part of sports. If people want nothing but perfection and completely fair outcomes, then sports isn't for them." Respectfully, posts like this incite the culture of ref bashing that we have, and paint a picture that they're doing worse than they are. And they did get back to me, saying, "I think you can let it go when it isn't completely blatant. There were some howlers this weekend. It deserves a discussion." So I said, "But what would you suggest to improve it? Higher quality referees won't come out of a culture that only ever criticizes them. In fact, the opposite is true." And they never got back to me. They had no suggestions. Despite claiming to me and their followers that the entire weekend was mired by howlers, they couldn't actually point out an issue that needed resolving. They're willing to put out a post like that and couldn't name me one thing that they would change. Now, the 2 decisions I can only assume that the admin was referring to as howlers or the forward pass decisions in the Panthers-Roosters game and the Bulldogs-Eagles game. One wasn't called a forward pass, one was. Neither of them were much worse than a 50-50 decision. And yet here we have a large-scale professional sports news outlet crying wolf that they were completely blatant howlers. Are you serious? I want you to ask yourself a question. What does a post like that achieve? Why do they post it? Do you think NRL referees are going to see a post like that and go, "Wow, people don't like it when I get calls wrong, maybe I should stop doing that"? Or equally, do you think anyone is going to comment anything even slightly constructive on a post like that? Of course not. That comment section is a place where people can ref bash. SportsBible knew it, and that's exactly what they wanted. Fox League and Channel 9 know it every single time they post a clip of them talking about the referees. Paddy G and numerous other NRL content creators know it when they make videos like this. What's incredible to me is just how accepting we are of this culture. I think we've come a long way in recent years in terms of player welfare and not having a go at players for poor performances. We call out that behavior when we see it. But referees, fair game. Referees do not have feelings. We genuinely don't see an issue with bashing referees. In the fallout of the 2019 Grand Final, Ben Cummins was afraid to leave the house for a week. People threatened his family. His daughter's copped abuse both on social media and at school. Watch for yourself.
When you sign up to refereeing at the top level, you know that it comes with fans that are passionate and people that can say things about you, about your performance, but when it brings in your family and your home and it's sort of to a different level, so I found that really hard. Yeah, it was pretty dark times. I didn't want to talk to anyone about it. Yeah, I had some thoughts about what I'd want to do with my life, so and they were pretty negative. You feel ashamed and worthless, embarrassed. I wasn't sleeping. Yeah, I just wanted everything to go away.
Now, I realised that something like the SportBible post is nowhere near the level of what happened to Cummins. But the normalisation that post represents is what creates a culture that allows things like that to happen at the extreme. Do you know how many variables go into whether a team wins a game of rugby league? Do you know how immensely rare it is that a team would have won if not for a referee decision that was objectively wrong? And I'm not talking about contentious decisions that you want to call howlers because your team was on the receiving end of it. I'm talking about objectively wrong calls. They are rarer than you could imagine, and yet the narrative right now would have you believe that they're happening every week. The reason why we hear that narrative is because it's the narrative that drives the most engagement. What people don't realize is that the NRL has had a refereeing crisis since games were first televised. But people forget about that and instead reminisce on the nostalgia of days when it was supposedly better. If you're going to take anything away from this video, let it be this. For as long as fan engagement is what generates income from the media, you will always be told that there is a referee crisis. Because nobody leaves more comments or watches more shows or buys more newspapers than a fan who is pissed off at the referees. Right now, the media has everyone exactly where they want them. I know it's a very hard sell to convince people that they're being manipulated, but that's exactly what this constant, excessive, and at times really uncouth narrative from the media is. They want you as angry as possible so that you engage as much as possible. It's really that simple. Try to understand that whether there is genuinely an issue or not, it is in their interest to convince you as much as possible that there is one. And you only have to go into social media right now to see that they are nailing it. Now look, I'm willing to accept criticism of referees, for sure, but you have to pair it with an actual suggestion of what could be done to improve the situation. Simply pointing out the problem to have a bitch and moan about it is lazy and cheap. All that does is mindlessly echo this harmful rhetoric that we're force-fed by the media, that the game is in crisis or that the NRL is being ruined. I mean, in this social media age where we see referees publicly torn into after every game, who would want to become a referee? Potential high-quality future refs are being pushed away every day from pursuing that as a career because they decide the criticism just isn't worth it. The abuse just isn't worth it. That's going to lead to lower quality match officials in the future, not higher. To all you guys who rip into NRL refs on social media, you are directly worsening the problem that you're complaining about. I will happily debate anyone on any of the points that I've made in this video. I've been doing it on Instagram for a decade, I might as well do it on YouTube now. If you disagree with me, tell me why in the comments and I will discuss it with you. If you're an NRL content creator who thinks that we have a referee crisis, bring it on. Let's have a debate. We can make it into a video that you can upload on your channel. I'll do it for free. There are no shortage of creators out there lately who have torn into referees for views. Let's see if even one of you can back up what you're saying.